detrás. Ladies and gentlemen, please remove your hat for the American national anthem. Taras?
What so proudly we hail as the twilight's fast gleaming through the skies and bright stars, perilous time. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today in Chicago's Ukrainian village because innocent, peaceful Ukrainians are being slaughtered by Russian invaders. I want to thank the Polish, Lithuanian, Belarus, Bosnian, Latvian, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstani, Georgian, Estonian, and other ethnic community representatives for joining us here today. Last week, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the future of European democracy is being decided now, here in Ukraine. I would add that the future of democracy and rule of law for the entire world is being decided now in Ukraine. Ukraine is not only defending its own democracy, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, but defending these values which we in America and our allies hold dear. When President Clinton needed assistance to quell the genocide in the Balkans, NATO called upon Ukraine to send its military. When President Bush needed a coalition of the willing to provide assistance in Iraq, NATO called again upon Ukraine, and Ukraine sent troops. Ukraine has been a very active member in the NATO Partnership for Peace program. Today, Ukraine has been invaded by a monster, and NATO cannot say, sorry guys, but you aren't a member, so we can only do so much. This is not acceptable. We Americans and our allies owe Ukraine a lot, and now we must pay up, even if we have to share some economic pain. Remember, every Ukrainian soldier's boots on the ground is one less American soldier there. Ukrainians will fight Putin's voluntary war of aggression. Ukrainians will resist the Russian invaders, but they cannot do it without our help. We appreciate the strong support of our Illinois congressional delegation has shown for Ukraine, and we appreciate that you, along with our other elected officials, are here with us on this day. We will begin our event with a prayer for peace. I now call upon Bishop Benedict, Bishop of the St. Nicholas Eparchy.
A few days ago, we heard about this news, aggression, war to Ukraine. But it's not war with Ukraine and Russia. It's war with aggression and dignity, with Putin and all world. We don't have like Christianity weapon, but we have the very important weapon which we can use is our prayer. Let's together pray our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
I now call upon Ihor Jachun, President of the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America, Illinois Division, the oldest and largest organization in the United States uniting the Ukrainian diaspora.
Thank you, Paul. For the media, I have to spell my name, so please bear with me. My name is Dan, D-A-N, middle name Ihor, I-H-O-R, and my last name, D-I-A-C-Z-U-N. And I have the honor and privilege of serving as the President of the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America, Illinois Division. Most Reverend Bishop Benedict, General Counsel of the Government of Ukraine in Chicago, Serhiy Kolodov, Vice Consul General Drobot, Honorable Congressman Davis, Quigley, and I don't know, I believe Congressman Krishnamurti is on his way.
He's here.
He's here? Thank you. Governor Pritzker, it's a pleasure to have you here. And of course, our Mayor of Chicago, the Honorable Lori Lightfoot. Your support today shows your true faith in the Ukrainian community of Chicago and Greater Chicago. Thursday, the world awoke to a new reality. A nuclear-armed superpower invaded its neighbor. Putin, who calls Ukrainians brothers and categorically states that we are one people, unleashed his satanic forces on the Ukrainian nation. Russians have shelled kindergartens, orphanages, civilian buildings, and yesterday, of all things, a children's cancer hospital. These actions are war crimes and are designed for two purposes and two purposes only: to demoralize Ukraine and to create as much human tragedy to force the Ukrainians to capitulate. What Putin didn't count on was the resolve and the will of the Ukrainian people not only to resist, but to fight and fight hard. The armed forces of Ukraine have proved to be a formidable force and have repelled Russian invaders, and they have not been able to take a single major population center. President Zelensky has proven his mettle and resisted any and all calls to lay down arms and surrender. Putin has called upon the Ukrainian military not to just lay down arms, but to turn them on the leadership, calling them fascists, neo-Nazis. How can a country that elected a Jewish president be neo-Nazis or fascists? Make no mistake, Putin's only aim is to destroy Ukraine, destroy our language, our culture, and our heritage. He is now threatening Sweden and Finland for their stated desire to join NATO. Putin sees NATO and the European Union as existential threats to his control over Russia and what he terms the near abroad. Russian oligarchs, though, are allowed to live in luxury homes and apartments in various European cities, and their children attend the best Western schools, and their fortunes are only allowed due to his benevolence. He has fueled war in Georgia, Syria, and now Ukraine, and meddled in elections to gain support and build a cadre of useful idiots, both on the extreme left and on the extreme right. This must end, and end now. The Ukrainian diaspora across the free world calls upon the United States and every civilized country in the West to call Putin what he is, a war criminal.
Yes, yes.
The United States, the United Nations, and every civilized country has to declare Russia a terrorist state and remove all, not some, but all Russian banks from SWIFT. Cripple their economy, and make them pay. We call upon America and the West to send arms and humanitarian aid to our brothers and sisters and to avert the looming human tragedy. The Russia of Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and Tchaikovsky is dead. The Russia of today is the spawn of Lenin, Stalin, Beria, and Putin, and is a pariah state. In an interview Friday, Dmitry Medvedev said that Russia no longer needs to negotiate with anyone and that they can padlock their embassies. He also stated that from moving forward, they will now look at the world only through binoculars and gun sights. President Biden and leaders of the free world, accommodate his wish.
Yes, yes.
Remove every diplomat from Moscow. Expel. Expel every Russian diplomat and every Russian FSB agent that masquerades as a diplomat or a journalist from the free world. Send them packing back to Moscow where they belong. Russia no longer believes in the rule of law and international order, but has reverted to the law of the jungle. In closing, I would like to quote the words of Ukraine's greatest poet and bard, Taras Shevchenko. Борітеся, поборете, вам Бог помагає. За вас правда, за вас слава і воля святая. To paraphrase, fight the victory. God is helping, for your side is the side of truth, glory, and freedom. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!
I now call upon the Counsel General of Ukraine in Chicago, Mr. Serhiy Kolydov.
Thank you for this possibility. Honorable Governor, Honorable Mayor, fathers, dear Ukrainian community, dear American friends, and dear friends from all nations and nationalities. For 4 days, a full-scale war launched by Russia against Ukraine continues at the very heart of Europe. The enemy has slowed offensive operation in selected areas with the support of long-range operational and tactical aircraft. Higher precision long-range weapon deliberately hit civilian infrastructure. The most intense fighting occurred around the city of Kiev, in the northeast, Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, and in the south, Kherson, Zaporizhia, Mariupol. Ukraine fights, but now we are not alone in the war. The world supports Ukraine. The international coalition in defense of Ukraine and the peace continues to grow. As now, there are 73 countries and 9 international organizations support us. We count upon the proper reaction by the international community. We are grateful to our partners, especially our partners from State Illinois and City of Chicago. Thank you for declaration from the City of Chicago for the support of Ukraine. And we have provided and continue to provide additional support, and in a variety of ways. For the decision of Turkey to block the access of Russian warship to the Black Sea. For introducing the ban of Russian air vessels in airspace. For arms, military equipment and ammunition sent over to us for our partners. For the humanitarian support and refugee camps provided to the citizens of Ukraine in Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, Moldova. For fuel supplies, Azerbaijan Sakar. Russian population is protesting against Putin's decision to attack too. Thousands of Russian citizens in more than 50 Russian cities have already been detained for participating in peaceful protests. Ukrainian people are dying for the freedom of Ukraine and Europe. We have been waiting at the open door for a long time. We asked about NATO membership and hear no answer. We now need international legal guarantee of security, a clear European perspective, coupled with swift and effective actions. We believe that we, Ukrainians, have now earned our right to be the part of the European Union. And we urge the international community to show solidarity with Ukraine by the immediate imposing of the massive, severe, coordinated sanctions against Russia, Russia's isolation and inclusion from all possible international fora, every international organization, the introduce of a full-fledged trade embargo on Russia, including in gas sector and oil sector too. Further closure of airspace for Russian aircrafts and ports for the Russian vessels. Supporting Ukraine with weapon, protective equipment, ammunition, fuel, and whatever else necessary to counter the biggest army in the continent. Providing Ukraine with financial support. We appreciate the sanctions imposed by our partners in the world, especially the strongest sanction already imposed by the United States, the United Kingdom, and the European Union, which will severely undermine Russia's economy and financial capacity to continue this aggression. We expect the world to immediately strengthen the sanction further in order to stop Russia. And the last news. It is clear that different approach is needed, and any war ends with negotiation. Ukraine has a negotiation position outlined in Moscow. They know our view on the negotiation format and our negotiation position. Therefore, their comments that we eligibly refuse to negotiate are just part of their tactics. They're trying to drive negotiations in debt and before they even begin. Negotiation must be based on common sense and be such that a fair solution can be worked out the interest of the people and the national statehood of Ukraine. President Zelensky rejects any unequivocal condition and ultimatum for Ukraine. Only full-fledged negotiation. of Europe is being determined now in Ukraine. If Putin does not meet proper response, if he is not stopped now, we will move further, putting all European states under severe risk. Stop Russian aggression. Slava Ukraini and God bless America!
President Trump will negotiate the end to the war.
Щоб вони вас чули в Вашингтоні. USA, help Ukraine! USA, help Ukraine!
USA, help Ukraine!
USA, help Ukraine!
USA, help Ukraine! USA, help Ukraine! USA, help Ukraine! USA, help Ukraine! USA, help Ukraine! USA, help Ukraine! USA, help Ukraine! USA, help Ukraine!
I would now like to ask Congressman Danny Davis from the 7th District to please come forward. He has been a stalwart friend of Ukraine for a long time, and we're very honored to have him here. Congressman Davis, please.
Thank you very much. You know, I am proud to know that I represent what is known as Ukrainian Village in the city of Chicago. It is a great honor and a great privilege. But I was taught early in life that freedom is a hard-won thing, and every generation have to win it and win it again. Therefore, I'm proud to stand here with all of the freedom-loving people, to stand here with a great governor who knows how to serve and protect our state of Illinois, Governor Pritzker, and to have a mayor who's not only a tremendous administrator, but a great freedom fighter, the mayor of the city of Chicago, Laura Lightfoot. My colleagues who are here, Roger Krishnamurthy and Representative Quigley, they're the best in the West, the best that there is. But I want to say, to be called upon to say something before the governor and before the mayor, I mean, that is just a signal honor. And I want to thank the rally organizers. I mean, that makes me feel like I'm the king of the hill, the top of the crop.
All right.
But let me tell you, we are here because we resist oppression. We resist tyranny. We resist an effort to control the lives of others. And so we simply stand to say that, yes, America does in fact support Ukraine. And I want to say to all of my Ukrainian brothers and sisters that we recognize it's Ukraine today, but it will be the United States tomorrow. It will be someone else the next day. I studied Russian history, and I can tell you Putin follows a path and a trend. And he knows all about Lenin, he knows about Stalin, he knows about Khrushchev, but we know about freedom and democracy, and we will keep it. Thank you very much.
I want to say, Congressman, you deserve to go first because you stood with us out there on January 9th in that blistering cold downtown on Michigan Avenue, shoulder to shoulder, and you told Putin to go to hell, didn't you, Congressman? We've got long memories. And whatever you do, you don't mess with the Ukrainians, as the Russians have found out. I now would like to invite a young lady from our community, Tanya Fedak. Please step forward.
My name is Tanya Fedak. I am an 18-year-old, second-generation Ukrainian American. While many view my age as a weakness, interpreting my lack of experience as incredibility, I view it as a strength. It is my peers and I's responsibility to care for our planet, to nurture future generations, and create an environment where none should have to fear for their lives or those of their families. I am honored to be speaking here today because although I am young, that does not mean I am affected any less. In 8th grade, my history teacher requested I draft an essay on Holodomor, the Ukrainian genocide, after learning of my inheritance. I immediately complied, for I am eager to share my culture that I am so fortunate to be a part of. My work was eventually read to my classmates, who viewed it with an air of indifference. "I didn't even know that happened," was their common reply. I asked my teacher why that was, why other genocides are a part of many schools' curriculum, but Holodomor was not. Who determines whose lives are important, and what events are worth educating others about? "I don't know," he responded. I was shocked and upset. It is now 4 years later, and I am no longer shocked, but remain upset. Today, I am upset with those who are unwilling to learn. I am upset with those who can look in the face of disaster and make jokes of it. I am upset with the Russians who drive their tanks over civilians' cars with people still inside of them on their way to take even more lives. Today, I am upset with Vladimir Putin. Genocides are tragic events that deserve to be taught so that the lives of those taken need not be taken once more. Holodomor is absent from our education, and the lives of innocent Ukrainians are now, once again, being lost at the hands of Russians. In all of Ukraine's history, they have never willingly invaded another country. They have never instigated unwarranted conflict. All they have wanted is peace and freedom. So why is it that they are repeatedly under attack? More importantly, how are we allowing it to happen time after time after time? I may remain unaware of the specific processes and protocols our government is expected to follow when a conflict such as the war on Ukraine occurs. But I do know that now is not the time for empty words and empty promises. We need help now. The Empire State Building glows blue and yellow as an act of solidarity. The Eiffel Tower, Colosseum, and London's Foreign Office building have proceeded to do the same. While I and every Ukrainian appreciate the support that the world has shown our country in such a dark time, projecting a flag does not change the fact that Ukrainian lives are being taken as we speak due to Putin's power-hungry mission. What we need is action. What we need is physical support, and not just world leaders who can sit and watch mass destruction from the comfort and safety of their living room, tweet thoughts and prayers for Ukraine, and then change the channel. What we are doing now is not enough. We have already begun isolating Russia economically, cutting them out of the SWIFT banking network. But it may take up to 30 days for Russia to feel these effects. Within 4 days, hundreds of Ukrainians have been killed. We do not have 30 more days to wait. We must immediately isolate them further, fail to issue visas to Russian travelers, prevent Russian planes from flying over Ukraine, refuse to buy Russian products, and abolish any trade agreements that are currently standing. However, what we really need is military support. As of right now, there are troops lined up outside of Ukraine and NATO territory. This is beneficial to the countries which belong to the organization, but not to the one that is currently under attack. Ukraine deserves to be a part of NATO. We have paid and continue to pay the price for NATO exclusion. What more must we do to be admitted? The Ukrainian army alone can only stand for so long when put up against Russian forces. The great resilience the Ukrainian army has shown reminds me how proud I am to be Ukrainian. It encapsulates everything my country stands for, but we should not have to fight this battle alone. We should not have to be required to separate Ukrainian families in order to fight evil. We need as much troops and assistance as possible to terminate Russia's oppression once and for all. Who determines whose lives are important?
Not Putin!
Who determines what events are worth educating others about? The answer is us. Every individual standing before me and every individual who has advocated for Ukraine. The people of the present are the writers of the past. That is why we are here today. I thank all of those who have shown up here today. I thank all of the representatives, and I thank all of the brave Russians who have risked their safety in their home country to protest the war, caring for Ukrainians. Keep fighting, protesting, and praying. Do not stop until Ukraine is free once and for all. Slava Ukraini!
Thank you, Tanya.
USA support Ukraine! USA support Ukraine! USA support Ukraine!
USA support Ukraine! USA support Ukraine!
USA support Ukraine! USA support Ukraine! USA support Ukraine!
I now call upon Congressman Mike Quigley, 5th District, Illinois, who also was out with us in a bitter January as we were protesting the buildup of the Russian aggression. Mike Quigley has been with us for many, many years, a strong advocate for us. He is the co-chair of the Congressional Ukrainian Caucus, and he's been doing a tremendous amount of advocacy and work to pass bills in Washington. Welcome, Mike Quigley.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, the young lady was right. Hope and prayers are essential, but when you're dealing with Putin, hope, prayers, and a javelin missile are even better. Hope, prayers, and stingers and machine guns are even better. I love the Putin signs, right? It's amazing. Now, if you really want to anger this guy, tell him he's a lousy hockey player. I spoke to the president of Finland in 2018, and he said, Putin scores 5 goals a game because everybody gets out of his way. The Ukrainian army is not getting out of his way. It's not so easy this time. This is the spirit I saw in Kyiv after the Maidan. This is the spirit of the Ukrainian army and the resistance and all those fighting there. It is who we're with. I just want to share some good news. It's a little late in some respects, but it's never too late to help. The Chancellor of Germany announced that Germany will supply 1,000 anti-tank weapons, 500 Stinger missiles, and they approved the delivery of 400 more rocket-propelled grenades. The Netherlands are supplying 200 Stinger air defense missiles as quickly as possible. Poland announced it is shipping a convoy of ammunition. Belgium has pledged 3,800 tons of fuel and 2,000 machine guns. The EU has approved 1.2 billion emergency financial assistance, and the UN is upping their assistance an additional $2 billion. Look, folks, people ask me, what can we do? Thoughts and prayers are good. Blocking the skies is better.
Yes, yes.
And I was told that ethics doesn't allow me to tell you to write a check to a particular entity. Monday, I'm writing a check to humanitarian organizations. You all should do the same thing. Long live Ukraine. God bless.
Congressman Quigley is on his way back to Washington now, and he's got a series of meetings tomorrow. He'll be at the Ukrainian embassy, and he will also be at the Holodomor Memorial later in the afternoon for a commemoration event in Washington, D.C., along with his colleagues there. I now would like to ask another young lady to please step forward, Zoriana Bandriuska. Dimitro.
Okay. Ooh. Hello. In 2018, my sister was a camp counselor in Ukraine for children who have either been displaced or orphans due to the war that began in 2014. A camper, we'll call her Ira to protect her identity, who lives in Kramatorsk, had reached out to my sister saying that she could hear bombs and gunshots from her own home. I've been keeping in contact with her every day since the invasion, and she has been updating me. I just pray that there is never a day when she stops responding to my texts. I don't know if she will ever be safe, but I do know that she is not the only child who feels a constant fear in her own home. These words go out to every Ukrainian child who fears if they will survive till tomorrow. This is not the first time that Russia has tried to eradicate Ukraine. But it's never happened, and it will never happen, because we are all here to protest for our beautiful country. My heart beats for Ukraine, and I stand with Ukraine. NATO, we need your help. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Thank you.
Героям слава! Героям слава!
I now ask Congressman Raja Krishnamurti, 8th District, please come forward.
Slava Ukraini! I am honored to be here. Thank you so much. I want to thank the board and all members of UCCA. I want to thank the governor, the mayor, my congressional colleagues, other dignitaries for attending, and of course, thank you to all of you for showing up. I want to say that on January 23rd, we gathered similarly to celebrate Ukrainian Reunification Day. At that time, my colleagues and I spoke strongly about our steadfast, unwavering support for the Ukrainian people as they confront Putin's Russia. Following that event, I was informed that the Russians took notice of my speech. Yes. They played portions of it on Russian television, and I'm paraphrasing. They said I was just a lowly Indian congressman supporting the Ukrainians. I'm glad that the Russians took note of my remarks, but they got a couple things wrong. First, I may be a humble congressman, but they should not mistake humility for meekness.
Right.
I and all of us and our Ukrainian brothers and sisters will never shrink in the face of tyranny. Am I right about that? Second, I may be of Indian origin, but today we are all Ukrainians. We are Ukrainian in our love of freedom. We are Ukrainian in our love of peace. And we are Ukrainian in our love of democracy. Am I right about that? But make no mistake. Make no mistake about this. If dictators attack us, we will fight. If autocrats threaten us, we will never cower. And if tyrants seek to rule us, we will resist. We will resist and fight. We will toil and persist until the Russians are repelled and Ukraine prevails. Are you with me on that? Recently, a Ukrainian said that when the Russians attack, they will see our faces, not our backs.
Right. Yeah. Right.
As God is our witness in front of this church, we will always have the Ukrainians' backs. We will always stand with them. I just want to say God bless Volodymyr Zelensky and his government. God bless the Ukrainian people. God bless Ukraine and God bless America. Slava Ukraini!
Thank you so much, Congressman. After your last speech back in January, Vladimir Putin just about jumped out of his skin. And we appreciate your very enthusiastic support. We appreciate that you're here standing with the Ukrainian people and our friends today. Thank you so much. I now have the great pleasure to introduce to you Governor J.B. Pritzker, Governor of the state of Illinois.
Slava Ukraini! And screw Vladimir Putin! Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America for organizing this protest. Thank all of you for joining us. I want to recognize the extraordinary bravery and resilience of the Ukrainian people. They inspire us, and the world, and Illinois is taking a stand against the bloodthirsty Russian invasion of the sovereign nation of Ukraine. I want to ask you, though, for a brief moment of silence to honor the more than 100 Ukrainians who have been killed in the Russian invasion so far, and to pray for the men, women, and children who continue to stand in resistance. Liberty, democracy, and humanity will defeat tyranny and oppression every time, but only if we resist in solidarity with the Ukrainian people.
Yes!
Time and again throughout history, we have seen tyrants like Putin use false propaganda to claim some righteous cause in furtherance of their vicious agendas. Instead, righteousness is in the cause of freedom and sovereignty and peace, and righteousness is with the people of Ukraine. My own family is from Kiev, Ukraine. But whether you come from Ukraine, your family has descendants from Ukraine, or your family is from anywhere else in the world, today we are all Ukrainian. Today we stand in solidarity against Russian aggression. Today we stand in resolve against tyranny. Today we stand for democracy. And today we stand united for peace and freedom for Ukraine. To the heroes of Ukraine, Illinois is with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Governor.
Stop Russian aggression! 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 Stop Russian aggression!
To my left, you will see a flag that was donated to the city of Chicago, sister cities. Chicago and Kiev are sister cities, and this is a flag of the city of Kiev. And now I have the distinct honor of introducing the mayor of the sister city of Kiev, the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here in a very solemn moment. I, like you, have been heartsick when we learned the news late at night our time that the Russians had in fact carried through with their weeks-long threat to invade the peaceful, democratic nation of Ukraine. We must stand with our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. I am grateful for the gathering of the elected officials who are here, the dignitaries, and particularly the Ukrainian American veterans who are here to our right. Thank you for your service. We stand together today in solidarity with Chicago's Ukrainian community and this country of Ukraine. This community has historically been one of our oldest immigrant communities. Ukrainians started coming to Chicago in the late 1880s and into the early 1900s. So you have been a part of the fabric of this great city from our earliest days. We stand united against the continued bombardment of Ukrainian cities and send our prayers to those who are sheltering in their homeland because of the murderous actions of Vladimir Putin. Putin has gone forward with his acts of aggressions against the country of Ukraine simply because the people of Ukraine aspire to be free, to be a democratic country, and align themselves with other countries with the same aspirations for their residents. We must stand united against the Putin aggression against Ukraine. As you heard from another speaker, it's Ukraine today, but it will be another democratic, freedom-loving country tomorrow. We must stop him in his tracks, and it begins right here and now with Ukraine. Make no mistake, as we now all know, but we knew before that Putin is a ruthless killer. He doesn't care about his own people, and he certainly doesn't care about the people of Ukraine. We must stand and continue to support President Biden for taking a strong stand and uniting the Europeans against the aggression of Putin. But that isn't enough. And that's why we must provide humanitarian aid to the nations that are supporting Ukraine, like Romania and Poland, that are opening their borders to support the neighbors who are fleeing the violence. You heard earlier from the Counsel General a long list of things that must be done immediately to support the Ukrainians. Let me add to that list. We must urge our immigration authorities to provide temporary protective status for Ukrainians who may be in Chicago, and to open up our borders to Ukrainians who want to come here for freedom. Open the borders so that they may be free. Attack another freedom-loving country like Ukraine. Kiev is our sister city, and we stand united with them. We must also say a prayer for the brave common Russians who are standing up in cities all across that country to brutal attacks because they dare raise their voice in opposition to Putin. We must say a prayer and support those Russians as well. Final point. This conflict will come to an end. As a person of faith, I know that we must continue to send our thoughts and prayers and stand in solidarity. But what we also must do is raise our voices. When they are at the negotiating table, bargaining an end to this conflict, it cannot be that they barter away the freedom of Ukrainians as a part of the price of ending this conflict. The only thing that should be on the table is when Vladimir Putin appears in front of a tribunal for his war crimes. We must stand together. We must stand united. And we have to continue to raise our voices and not be silent in the face of this tyranny, this murderous operation by Putin. We have to continue to fight and provide weapons and humanitarian aid to our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Yeah. Freedom for Ukraine forever.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Lightfoot. Thank you very much.
Save Ukraine! 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 Save Ukraine!
I now would like to ask another young lady to step forward. Lana Gray is of Lithuanian and Ukrainian heritage. Lana?
Hello. To know the truth, one must face it without the filter of one's beliefs or per se dogmas, however respectable they may be. Putin has decided to try and rewrite history through not only lying to his own people, but to the world. A dictator who, if anyone goes and stands up against him, he either poisons, kills, exiles, and this is exactly what he is doing now. Each and every one of us wishes to exercise our free will and experience happiness. Let us bear in mind that anything in our history that has seemed ridiculous or improbable has become possible and then realized, and that our future will be even more surprising. One cannot simply go and decide that a sovereign country is theirs, invade, and shed innocent blood because they feel as such. There is a long way between a wish and a fact when the rules of the game are kept hidden. Our goal is to unite while respecting those of diverse roots to accomplish a common purpose, and that is freedom At this time, wonderful opportunities of progress stand side by side with not only Ukraine, but the world. Hatred grows, but so does love, and that is what keeps us confident in our ability to find solutions. Passivity only leads to the absence of freedom, and we are here not just united, but as individuals, as a right and responsibility to speak our piece and show our support for Ukraine. Putin has created and unleashed Pandora's box. We are united, which is precisely what Putin has tried to avoid. Because he manipulates at all costs, and by dividing, they reign. We are here to stand up against the locust, the parasite, and it is up to us whether we want the world to feel it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lana. And I want to call forward someone, great friend of the Ukrainian community, someone who represents over 10 million people in America of Polish descent, our very dear friend, President of the Polish American Congress, Frank Spula.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm looking at everyone here and I'm thinking, what brings everyone here this afternoon? And you know what it is? It's loyalty, it's commitment to your country, and it's for freedom that you're all here for. Yes. And we stand united. You know, when I'm thinking about what Pablo said, I remember that day in January, how we were freezing. And I was amazed to see the number of people that were there as well. The wind was blowing tremendously. We didn't know how to hold our hands, and we didn't have our speeches prepared. Because where are we going to talk? It's the wind is blowing, but nonetheless, the message was there. And we're here together in unity, in solidarity. We've heard the remarks of the former speakers. They basically said one thing, that we need to be united. And we are united. As president of the Polish American Congress, I am very proud to be here with you. Do you know why? Because our histories are very similar. Very, very similar. Poland was under attack for many, many years. And same as Ukraine, we're neighbors. Today, Poland opens its doors to you. And the Polish American Congress is behind you as well. You know, we're fortunate that we live in this day and age with smartphones, technology. We know what's going on. During the Second World War, take a look how many of us suffered. Your country suffered, Poland suffered, Eastern Europe suffered. And people didn't know because they didn't get the message until days later. And today with the smartphones, we have all this information immediately available. And that's why it's so important that we gather here today as and I say Ukrainian community. But you don't only have the Ukrainian community. You have the Lithuanians here. You have the Polish people here. And I think it's important we have even our legislators. You know, I've had the privilege of working with the legislators that were here, with the congressmen. I've had the privilege of working on other issues. We've talked about NATO. And you know, to get NATO, it's a long process. And again, I was one of the individuals within the Illinois division of the Polish American Congress to make sure that it happened. And you know, it took years, it took letter writing, and you know what it took? People like Danny Davis to get on board, because he was on board back then. And you know, he is a friend of our community, for sure, of the Ukrainian and Polish community, because he was involved. He understands freedom, what it is. Now, moving forward, you know, Congressman Quigley also said, prayers are great, and I respect the clergy here today. Prayers are very important. God unites us all, but we do need those arms. And you know, I look at President Zelensky, congratulate him, kudos to him. He is a... He walks his talk. He actually walks his talk. He's not hiding. He's there. He's telling people not to give up. That's a true leader, a captain of the ship, the last one to go down. You know, in closing, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that our community, the Polish-American community, Poland, and I think a lot of other countries are all with you because we see what this criminal has done. And he is a criminal, to say the least. I see these signs that are here, and you know, they're all apropos. They all fit. Every one of them fits the cause. You know, Putin is a war criminal. He's stinky, or whatever it says. I don't see that far. Virus, okay. Guys, it's all the same. The meaning is all the same. In closing, once again, I really thank you as Ukrainians, as Lithuanians, as Poles, as Greeks, whoever is involved in this cause of United We Stand, because in unity there is power and strength. And you know, one last thing, you know, why does Ukrainian matter? You know, I got this on Friday as I was leaving the museum. And you know something? It's really clear. It's very clear here. You know what it's about? It's about money. It's about the resources that you have. It's not only about getting your Russian to obtain the property back. It's about the resources that your country has, and you're very rich, and you can be proud of that. So keep on fighting. That's all I can tell you. Keep on fighting. We'll all stand together. God bless every one of you. God bless Ukraine, and Slava Ukraina.
As we all know, Ukraine unfortunately has a very bad neighbor. But Ukraine is also very blessed to have such a good neighbor like Poland right now. The Polish government was the very first to recognize Ukraine, renewal of independence, back in 1991, and we're very fortunate to have such a leader of the Polish-American community as Frank Spula. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I now would like to ask Mr. Andrei Kuhut. He's Director of the National Archives of the State Security Service of Ukraine, SBU Archivi, Director of Kyiv. He's here on a Fulbright, and he was recently doing a lecture and other obligations at Northwestern University, has an opportunity to address us today.
Слава Україні! Героям слава! Смерть ворогам!
Dear friends, dear Ukrainians community and our friends worldwide, only those in the United States. Today I had to give a lecture in Ukrainian Institute of Modern Art about KGB archives. What KGB archives is, how we open access to everyone in Ukraine to KGB archives, and why it's very important to our present day and our future. Unfortunately, today we have another event, much more important. Of course, it's a very bitter time for us, but from other hand, it's possibility to try to answer to our historical lesson and finally win in Ukraine, finally create those Ukraine what we dreams about a long time ago. Russia war against Ukraine, it's, you know, it's like a war of past against future. And of course, war from totalitarian empire against democracy, about modern day democracy. And from this point of view, I believe that we are won. We are win. Today, unfortunately, Russian troops killed 18 children. They say that they fight against only military infrastructure. But, you know, it's like everything, every time Russia government, it is lie. But they lie not only about Ukraine, that they destroy civilians' housing, they destroy civilian infrastructure, they killed peaceful people, but of course they lie about Russian soldiers, they lie about Russian history, they lie about everything. But what good and what very important to us, maybe yesterday Ministry of Defense of Russia Federation says that no one Russian soldier was killed. And of course, it's a lie. What we must understand today, and what is very important to our future win, that in 3 days of invasion to Ukraine, Russian forces lost 1/3 of the Soviet Union's defeats in Afghanistan during 10 years. So our development not so bad, army fighting very good, and our next step, of course, it's thanks to our army, border guards, territorial defense, national guards, police, special operation forces, security service of Ukraine, and other units, military units that now struggle in Ukraine. We are successfully defending Ukraine. And of course, the next step is liberation of the south of Donetsk and Luhansk region, liberation of Crimea. But moreover, of course, it's a struggle not only for Ukraine, not only for Ukrainian citizens, but also for those folks what today under Russia Empire occupation, about Tatars, Chechens, Dagestans, Bashkirs, and so on. And also we must understand that today, unfortunately, Belarus also under Russia occupation. Of course, that liberation of those people, it's not, maybe not our main business, it's a business of their hands. But without win of Ukraine, they lose. It's definitely close that without Ukrainian win, not only those peoples will be die in the future Russia Empire war, because when Ukraine lose, Putin never stopped. What will be next? I don't know. Maybe Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, maybe Finland, maybe Poland. But we all need to understand that Putin, like every, of course, it's no doubt. But Russians empire never stopped. And what we need today, it's a stop Russia empire, stop Russia totalitarian, stop trying to restore this totalitarian empire. Our army fighting, yes, it's always main Russian tool is a high number of its soldiers, whose lives cost for the Kremlin Führers less than zeros. But for us not. Every human being, it's very important to us, to Ukraine, to all world. In his insane speech, Putin promised to show to the real decommunization for Ukraine. And it means that so after our victory, Russia must be decommunized and decolonized. It's our common task that no man, no woman, no children in the world may ever be a slave again. We need to destroy Russia slavery empire. I know that with us, our army and God, we will win. Slava Ukraini!
Русский корабль! Пошел нахуй!
Свободна Україна! Одна! Єдина! Свободна Україна! Одна! Єдина! Свободна Україна! Одна! Єдина! Свободна Україна! Одна! Єдина! Свободна Україна! In a couple of days, Andrei is going back to Ukraine, back to the front, back to Kyiv. If anyone wants to make a donation that he can take over for humanitarian assistance, he will be here, and you can see him after this program. I also want to welcome our Belarusian friends who have just joined us. We're so happy that you're able to be here with us today. I would now like to call on another longtime friend of the Ukrainian community here in Chicago, representative of the Lithuanian American Committee and the Joint Baltic American Coalition, Saulius Kupris.
The Joint Baltic American National Committee in Washington, D.C., which represents the American Latvian Association, the Estonian American National Council, and the Lithuanian American Council. we vehemently condemn Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine and Moscow's blatant breach of international law. It is not only an existential threat to Ukraine, but Moscow's destabilizing belligerency endangers the region, Europe, and the global democratic order. For years now, we have watched Putin's kleptocratic mafia organization, which masquerades as the Russian government, terrorizing Russia's neighbors and wreaking increase in havoc around the world through military infiltration in Belarus, creeping occupation in Georgia, bombings in Syria, energy blackmail, information warfare, and cyber attacks. As representatives of the Baltic American communities, Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians, we stand with Ukraine and support its independence and territorial integrity. Together, we will resist Russian aggression and fight to remain free. Your struggle is our struggle. Your freedom is our freedom. Long live Ukraine. Tegevoya Ukraina. Long live Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saulius, for coming here and sending those greetings united with the Baltic countries. I now would like to call Professor of Northwestern University, someone who was born in Kiev, living here in Chicago now, Professor Johann Petrovsky Stern. Please.
As I speak here, my mom is spending a night in a bunker, in a bomb shelter, under a school on the left bank of Kiev. She was 6 years old when she saw the bombing of Kiev in 1941 by the Nazis. She's 87 years old and she witnesses the bombing of Kiev by the Russian troops. And she is not crying. She repeats the lines of Леся Українка to herself. Так, я буду крізь сльози сміятись, серед лиха співати пісні, без надії таки сподіватись, жити буду геть думи сумні. Ukraine is a stunning country. It is the country where ordinary people, ordinary elderly people are going into the streets and with their bare hands stop the tanks from rolling in. It is the country where homeless people collect empty bottles and give these bottles to handicapped people who take these bottles and make them into Molotov cocktail. Yes. It is the country where teenage boys are going to the roads and remove road signs to confuse the enemy. Yeah. It is the country where the president, a comedian of the yesterday, became a strong man and a hero of today. You cannot conquer these people. You cannot subjugate this nation. Slava Ukraini! Thank you so much.
I now would like to call the Dean of the Chicago Deanery of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, Otec Bogdan Kalinyuk.
Мені треба цю трибуну піднести догори. В Україні ще й великі люди ростуть, високі. Слава Ісусу Христу! Чи ви чуєте мій голос? Якщо ви чуєте мій голос, ваш голос чує сьогодні цілий світ. Ваш голос чує сьогодні Україна, Батьківщина, ваші матері, ваші батьки, ваші діти, внуки. Нас чує і говорить сьогодні в один голос наша Україна. Діти України, по цілому світу єднайтеся, шукайте один одного і говоріть, що ми встаємо з колін. Путін нагадав нам, що Україну подарував Ленін, тому він того Леніна і тримає по нині день.
Монету їх покласти!
Він говорить нам словами загарбника, мучителя України. Чи можемо ми забути Соловки? Чи ми можемо забути ГУЛАГ? Чи можемо забути Голодомор? Чи ми можемо йому сьогодні простити за те, що він зробив в Україні?
Ніколи!
Йому навіть в себе в країні цей режим, який здавна, починаючи від царя Грозного, по нинішній день ніхто з них не відійшов по-людськи з життя. Вони один одного прибирають, і все приходить новий диктатор, який би хотів сьогодні збудувати назад Совєтський Союз в лиці Путіна. Він це хоче зробити. Він хоче збудувати для нас знов совєтську тюрму, де діти не зможуть ні виїхати, ні вчитися, нічого, не бачити вільного світу. Сьогодні Україна оплакує своїх синів, але ми пишаємося ними, що є в нас такі сини, які віддають життя своє, підривають мости собою, або слава України вмирають на острові Зміїному. Ми пишаємося ними і тими матерями, батьками, що навчили їх любити Україну. Сьогодні складний час для України. Ми мусимо тут невидимим фронтом, війна не закінчилася. У нас ми є невидимий фронт. Чи ви думаєте, що ми менше можемо зробити, як ті солдати на фронті? Ні. Ми можемо все робити тут, для того, щоб нашу Україну звільнити від ворога. Наша Україна в світі знають як кошик хліба, а тепер я чую, що наші хлопці по лісах готують для них коктейлі, так що будуть знати ще, що Україна любить давати їм коктейлі. Настане день, ми станемо до кінця вільні. Сьогодні вже, ви чули, сьогодні мер міста сказала, що вона би хотіла, щоб ви нам тут, українцям, дали статус легальний. Багато сьогодні з нас є тут, в чужині, не маючи паперів. Просімо держави, рівно з тим просімо легалізувати нас. Ми платимо такси. Ми сьогодні вимагаємо, щоб президент Байден не чекав часу. Не завтра, ні післязавтра. Україні сьогодні потрібно 100 літаків. Україні сьогодні потрібно зброя захищати себе. Україні потрібно сьогодні, не завтра, не післязавтра. Післязавтра ми можемо вже сидіти за столом і відпочивати, якщо в нас буде така допомога від світу. Ми вдячні сьогодні світові. Дякуємо всім, хто підтримує Україну. Сьогодні ми дякуємо цілому світові за підтримку нашої держави. Ми дякуємо нашому президенту Зеленському. Він правдивий наш герой. Не втік з чемоданами і з мільярдами за кордон, а стоїть разом з своїми воїнами і береже нашу Україну. Я дякую всім волонтерам, дякую всім бізнесменам в Україні. Від нас тут з Америки, і ми мусимо долучитися. Ми мусимо збирати фінанси. Ми мусимо збирати одіж, ми мусимо збирати медикаменти, ми мусимо робити все кожен день. Не просто після цього мітингу розійшлися і ми зробили велику громаду. Не тільки словом, але ділом ми маємо досягти нашої разом перемоги. Щоб ми могли їхати додому, щоб ми могли пишатися, що ми не спали, а були разом з нашим народом. Я дякую сьогодні Конгресовому комітетові, що збирає своїх людей, що чинить ту велику місію їхнього поклику боронити Україну в світі, захищати кожного українця, де б він не знаходився, зокрема тут Чикаго, де стоять сьогодні наші ноги. Тепер я батько, і прошу мене зрозуміти, нам шкода наших вірних синів наших. Але я сьогодні звертаюся до матерів Росії, до їхніх батьків, тих солдатів, які сьогодні прийшли в Україну. Матері, забирайте своїх дітей, вам їх треба женити, вам треба дочекатись від них внуків. Чию волю вони виконують? Волю диктатора. Хай ваші сини вертаються додому, риють котловани, не окопи для оборони чи захисту, чи наступу, а хай риють котловани, проводять вам газ до ваших домівок. 50 кілометрів за Москвою газу нема, хай діти вам рови копають на труби на газ. Хай вертаються додому матері. Вставай, Росія, хто не спить. Бо не думайте, що сьогодні ми терпимо. Ми виберемо свою свободу, і ми знаємо вже про це. Ми не хочемо, щоб ви більше жили також в тому гулазі. Поховайте Ілліча, вертайтеся до поля, сійте поле, вертайте своїх синів з тою техніку, не забирайте, Росія, хай лишиться в Україні. Пішки вертайте додому. Пішки, бензина для вас закінчилася. Сьогодні гуртуймося і молімося, щоб ми в єдиний голос могли здобути все те, що мріє наш український народ. Вдячний сьогодні консуляту, який працює, який чує сьогодні голосу громади, відповідають на телефони. Дякую сьогодні Конгресовому комітету, дякую всім представникам громад Польської, Литовської, Литви, Естонії, всіх, білорусів, всіх вітаємо, хто допомагає сьогодні Україні. Я мав нагоду сказати серед чинників американського уряду. Якщо сьогодні американський уряд не зупинить Путіна на українській землі, не допоможе нам, українцям, які мужньо борються, найкраща армія, найкраще згуртований народ. У нас народ прекрасний. Дивіться, воєнкомати, скільки стоять черги. Якщо вони сьогодні не допоможуть Україні зупинити ворога на нашій землі, завтра вони будуть на Кубі, їхні лодки, їхнє військо і так далі. Або в іншій державі. А ми хочемо миру. Правильно? Хочемо спокійно їхати до Польщі, так, до Литви. Я дякую цим країнам, їхнім президентам, що нас підтримали. Я дякую українській фінансовій установі, тут бачу пана Нетраля і всіх, хто підтримує сьогодні армію. Я низько кланяюся вам, кожному. Владико, дякую за вашу молитву і всім отцям за велику молитву, підтримку. Дякую сьогодні всім тим, хто може словом, ділом, думкою перемогти ворога Путіна і його військо. Слава Україні! Слава!
Дякую, отче Богдане. I now would ask another Kiev-born representative to come here, a representative of the Jewish community in Illinois, Yulia Bigbova. Yulia, прошу. Юлю.
Доброго дня, я буду спілкуватися на англійській. I am born and raised in Kiev. I've lived here for almost 30 years. There is not a single ethnic Ukrainian drop in me, but I am Ukrainian. I have 3 messages. One message is for all of us, for all of you here, that Ukrainian Jews, Russian Jews, Belarusian Jews here in United States, outside of the United States, stand with Ukraine. I'm on the board of Counsel of Jewish Elderly, where first and foremost we help out the Holocaust survivors still alive. I know these stories, and I always wonder, how is this the world stood silent during the World War II for such a long time? Here we are, and here's my government, here's us. We're not silent, but what is this we're doing? What are we doing to stop the genocide of the Ukrainian people, regardless of who lives there now and who is fighting? The message, second message I have, is for my government, for the representatives of my government. And the work that I do immigration. I understand how the refugee process works. And I know that my government right now needs help explaining why we need to open up a refugee path, to help Poland, to help European countries to resettle, to bring the most vulnerable refugees from Ukraine here to the United States. This cannot take years, this has to take now. There are children, there's 100,000 of children in orphanages in Ukraine, and somebody has to start taking care of them and save their lives. You can help, you can write to your representatives, you can write to the executive office. There is a way for our executive, for the president, to do an executive action for a few thousand of most vulnerable people to be here in the United States. We can do this. The Ukrainians, American lawyers, I stand with them. We can help. We have the money, we have the manpower to help. You can write to your representatives, whether you're a citizen of the United States or not. Do it. That's how they will hear your voice. And I have a message for my friends, my relatives, my clients in Russia. You are brainwashed. Yes. You are misled. Yes. To believe that your army and your government is going to rid Ukraine of a neo-Nazi government that is headed by a Ukrainian Jewish president. You must be crazy to believe this. Stop believing it. Believe me. Please record this. I will send it to Russia. Believe what I say. Believe what we say. Stop listening and stop being afraid. Yes, you will be jailed, but get on those streets. Repost the posts. You will lose your jobs. You will take an administrative offense. You may even be jailed for whatever it is. But it's not the same as my dear friends right now being killed right there on the streets of Kiev. And this is all I can do to help them. And I will go stand with my friends there in Kiev when they will be there. But please, to the Russian people in Russia, to those of you who have relatives in Russia, send this message to them, demand them, take that action today. Don't be afraid. We will find the legal aid to help you in Russia or when you leave. But this starts today. This is a grassroots. This is not some mysterious or mystical organization that is going to stop Putin. Only you Russians in Russia can. And I ask my government to do the same. Thank you.
Yulia Bitova, representative of the Jewish community here in Chicagoland. I now would ask the president of the Self-Reliance Association, Roman Yatskovsky, to say a few words in Ukrainian.
Слава Україні! Дорогі друзі, я не хочу повторюватися, але хочу сказати, що світ стільки років був дволичний, і Сполучені Штати Америки, і Франція, і Німеччина, вони змовчали, коли Росія напала на Грузію. Вони змовчали, коли Росія напала на Сирію. Вони змовчали за Крим. І сьогодні ми всі з вами, і весь світ пожинає ці плоди. Де була Меркель, коли 8 років йде війна, а вони будують газопровід в Росію, в Німеччину? Сьогодні ми вимагаємо від всього світу закрити Путіна в берлозі із його всім руським продажним народом. Ми вимагаємо закрити небо над Україною. Ми вимагаємо негайно зброї для України, такої, яка буде збивати желізний купол, яку Америка надала Ізраїлю. Чому ми мовчимо зараз? Сьогодні Путін ввів тривогу над ядерними силами Росії. Це є сигнал для всього світу. Це є приклад того, що довела їхня ця дволична політика всіх світових лідерів. Але сьогодні це все вийшло на яву. Сьогодні весь світ буде відповідати за їхню дволичність. Слава Україні!
Я звертаюся до вас всіх. Не треба нікуди їхати, віддихати, відпочивати. Ми не маємо собі права це зробити. Ось тут є маленькі такі пару цифр. В Українській кредитовій касі «Самопоміч» є створений фонд на армію. Ці гроші ніхто не забере і не вкраде. Ці гроші підуть просто підтримати наше військо і купити для них все, що потрібно. Аккаунт номера 176 666. Легко запам'ятати 17 і 4 шістки. Недобре число трохи, але може для Путіна воно так і написано. Я також хочу привітати вас від його високопресвященства, владику архієпископа Даниїла, предстоятеля нашої православної церкви, який сьогодні також там, в Нью-Джерсі, де є наша консисторія, працюють для того, щоб зібрати якнайбільше допомоги для нашої церкви. Владика передав вам велику вдячність за те, що ви такі щирі українці, і за те, що ви сьогодні протестуєте проти темряви цього світу. Дякую.
I now would like to ask Zhenya Chernowskaya from the Belarusian community here in Chicago to share her thoughts with us as well.
Живе Білорусь!
Живе Білорусь! Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Живе вольна Білорусь!
Живе вольна Білорусь!
Today, I'll speak in English. Today, we're not free. You know, we fought in 2020. We're still fighting, and it's not easy because we have the same enemy. We know this enemy very well, and we know that our dictator is helping him out. And of course, Belarusians from Free Belarus, we are sorry that Putin is using our territory and our land to go to Ukraine. We apologize, but we will learn to be strong. We will learn to be stronger. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight Putin. We're gonna fight Lukashenko. Lukashenko must go. Putin must go. And of course, we need the support as well, because that's not an easy task. We know that. We know that Putin took over our country. We know how much army is there. But one day we will be free as you are. And I hope And I know, I don't hope, I know that you'll win, Putin. You will win this war. You'll be free completely. You're free people in your soul. You're free people in your mind. Your country will be free. We will learn to be free too, and you are our aspiration. Thank you. Slava Ukraini!
They must go together. Lukashenko and Lenin.
They must go together.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jana. I now would like to ask the Deputy Counsel of the Ukrainian Consulate here in Chicago, Yevgeny Drobut, to please provide some information on humanitarian relief.
Слава Україні! Так, трішки практичної інформації. Всі запитують, що робити, чим можемо допомогти. Всі, хто щось купує. Будь ласка, треба розуміти, зараз єдиний спосіб відправки і оперативний – це міст Карпати. Так, паралельно опрацьовуються інші варіанти через FedEx і DHL, але наразі це міст Карпати. Вантажівки вже вантажаться прямо зараз в міст на Белмонт, а також є одна локація warehouse логістичної компанії. Будь ласка, підпишіться всі на нашу сторінку у Фейсбуці, ми будемо публікувати всю інформацію по зборам коштів, по зборам гуманітарної допомоги. Єдине прохання, наразі не купуйте речі, які не є першої необхідності для армії. Перша необхідність для армії – це медикаменти, кровоспинні, берці та бронежилети, мінімум 5 клас, та шоломи. Більше інформації у нас буде на веб-сторінці. І, я так розумію, будемо зараз завершувати, і колона піде. Просто попросили передати організатори, що вже дуже багато, нас тут, разом нас багато, але зараз вже величезна кількість українців в Міленіум парку. Для того, щоб пошвидше до них приєднатися, прохання сісти в машини, хто має можливості, тому що, знаємо, як хто ні, вже ми знаємо, що піде колона в даунтаун.
Гімн України! Гімн України! Скажіть вашу сторінку. Гімн України!
Пане Павло,
Гімн України!
наша сторінка в Фейсбуці Counsel General of Ukraine in Chicago.
Гімн України включіть.
In closing, I ask all of you to remember history. The West refused to intervene 100 years ago to support Ukraine's declaration for freedom. So Stalin and the murderous Moscow regime starved 10 million Ukrainians to death. 7 million Ukrainians fighting in the Red Army were killed by the Nazis. Thousands of these Ukrainian soldiers were sent to the front by Moscow with no bullets in their rifles. And they were slaughtered by the Germans. Today, Russia sends its soldiers to attack Ukraine with portable incinerators, accompanying the military equipment so they can burn the dead bodies in the field and scatter their ashes on Ukrainian soil. Countless mothers will never bury their son or know what happened to him. What bloodless subhuman would do something like this? Only someone with no regard for human life, either Ukrainian or their own. Putin must be declared a war criminal and held accountable for the atrocities he has committed. Like many people here, my wife and I have very close family in Ukraine. As the war substantially advanced the other night, we started to call our relatives to see how they were holding up. One of the first calls was to my niece, a young wife and mother. She was in tears of shock and anguish as she described how terrified her child was from the bombing and shelling close by. They live in western Ukraine, not far from the Polish border, but the airfield close to them was obliterated by Russian attack so that the West could not fly in any humanitarian assistance. They live in fear for their lives, but they are not going to flee. She said, please, ask America to help Ukraine, now more than ever. Get the hardest sanctions on Russia, now before more Ukrainian blood is spilled. Get Russia out of the SWIFT system. Get an Iron Dome system in Ukraine like Israel has. Close the skies! Close the skies! Close the skies!
Close the skies! Close the skies!
as a state sponsor of terrorism. And please, please, don't force Ukraine to capitulate, because the Ukrainian people have chosen to live like the West and not live under Russian oppression. She pleaded, do not settle for peace in Ukraine at any cost. Ukraine does not need a Minsk III. We need an independent, democratic, freedom-loving country that America will assist in its existential right and fight against Russian occupation. We ask you, please take this message to President Biden, to our congressmen, to our senators. Let's end the Russian terror once and for all. Thank you for your support today. God bless America. God bless Ukraine. Slava Ukraine! Slava Ukraine! Slava Ukraine! Now I ask you to please, all those folks behind me, please move to the side and let the Polish choir step forward. They would like to greet us with song.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Collegium Cantorum Polonia, Polish choir from the Holy Trinity Church. Our brothers and sisters now are fighting in Ukraine. Slava Ukraine!
Slava!
We have friends and family members in Poland now who are heading toward the border to help all those who are coming to Poland. Our houses are your houses. Our schools are your schools. Slava Ukraine! We as musicians want to join you today and bring a song, the song which is a prayer for a peace in Ukraine. So if you would like to join later on and pray in a church, please come. We will be singing over there too. Bogu Rodzicu will be in the church too. Україні!
Bardzo dziękuję. Bardzo dziękuję.
Ми вам дякуємо, героям слава! Ви захищаєте нашу країну! Слава вам!
Слава Україні!
Кріпись, стражденна Україно, обласкана вогнем і мечем, бо знову нова руїна прийшла із горем та плачем. Кріпися духом, серцем, тілом, щоб стоять у новій борні, щоб обламалися всі зуби у промоскальської свині. Нехай твої сини і дочки у цій борні лиш верх беруть, нехай дівочі віночки завжди на головах цвітуть. Нехай твій віковічний ворог на сонці згине, як роса. Нехай розквітне в цілім світі твоя українська краса. Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава Україні!